My name is Tom Bradley, and I've worked as a subway operator for the New York MTA for 11 years. Most people think the scariest thing about the subway is the rats or the late-night drunks. But there's something down there in the tunnels between 86th and 96th Street that made me request a transfer to above-ground buses. Not that it matters. I still hear the sounds in my dreams. It happened during my late shift last October. The city was in the middle of a massive underground electrical upgrade, so sections of tunnels were closed off for maintenance. Around 1:30 a.m., I was driving the last northbound train on the Red Line when I got a call from control about signal problems ahead. They directed me onto an older bypass tunnel, one of those emergency routes from the 1970s that rarely gets used. The tunnel was narrower than the main lines, with crumbling concrete walls covered in decades of grime. My headlamp barely penetrated the darkness ahead. That's when I noticed something odd on my control panel. The weight distribution sensors were showing passenger movement, which was impossible. I had already checked. The train was empty after the last stop, but the reading showed something heavy moving between cars. I used the intercom to announce that if anyone was still on board, they needed to stay seated. No response. Just the rhythmic clacking of wheels on rails and the distant drip of water through ancient pipes. The tunnel seemed to be getting darker, if that was even possible. The service lights along the walls, which should have been at least dimly lit, were all dead. My radio was picking up interference, bursts of static mixed with what sounded like whispers. Then I saw it in my side mirror, a door opening between cars. Just for a split second, but I'm sure of it. I hit the emergency call button, but all I got was that same staticky whisper. That's when I noticed my speed indicator. We were going 25 miles per hour, but I had the throttle set to idle. The train was accelerating by itself. I tried applying the brakes. Nothing. The speedometer crept up to 35, then 40. In a maintenance tunnel like this, anything over 30 was dangerous. I could hear metal scraping against the tunnel walls, sending sparks flying past my window. Then the overhead lights in the train cars started going out, one by one, like something was moving through the train, heading toward the front. I could see it happening in my monitors. Darkness spreading car by car. When it reached the car just behind my cabin, I heard something that still wakes me up at night, the sound of footsteps on my roof. Heavy ones, like someone wearing work boots. But they were wrong somehow. Too many of them, too fast to be human. My cabin lights flickered, and in that moment, I saw something reflected in my windshield. A face, no, multiple faces, pressed against the glass from the outside. They looked human, but stretched, distorted with too many teeth and eyes that glowed like signal lights. The train was going 60 miles per hour now. Warning alarms were blaring. I could smell burning rubber and hot metal. The faces disappeared, but I could hear something scratching at the cabin door. Suddenly, all the lights went out. The engine died. For a few terrible seconds, I was in complete darkness, hurtling through the tunnel with those things right outside my door. Then I saw a light ahead. The 96th Street station. Emergency lights snapped on as I coasted into the station. The train systems came back online, and I managed to stop at the platform. When the emergency response team arrived, they found deep scratches in the metal roof of every car. They looked like claw marks, but the official report blamed it on low-hanging pipes in the old tunnel. They never explained the burnt handprints found on the outside of my cabin door, or the strange symbols that had been carved into the walls of every car. 3 other trains disappeared in that bypass tunnel over the next month. They were found hours later at random stations, empty with the same claw marks and symbols. The MTA sealed off that section of tunnel and deleted it from the official maps. But here's the thing. Sometimes, late at night, trains still show up at abandoned stations, covered in those marks. Their operators are never found. Security cameras just show empty trains moving through the tunnels by themselves, their lights flickering as they pass. Last week, I got a call from an old colleague at the MTA. They're planning to reopen that bypass tunnel. Budget cuts, they say, need the extra route. But he also told me something else. The maintenance crews keep finding old train parts down there from models that haven't run in 50 years. And sometimes they hear trains passing by in sealed tunnels, filled with the sound of screaming brakes and what sounds like hundreds of footsteps running on the roofs. I quit the MTA yesterday. I'll walk everywhere if I have to, because I know what's down there in those tunnels, waiting in the darkness between stations. And it's getting hungry again. If this story gave you chills, like and subscribe for more terrifying stories.